Joining us now, Representative Charles Busby from the Mississippi State House of Representatives. He represents District 111, that's Jackson County. He's the chair of the Transportation Committee. Good afternoon, Representative Busby. Thanks for joining us today.
Hey, good afternoon, Gerard. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. So how's it going down there? You guys about to wrap it up, or what do you think at this point?
So. I'm cautiously optimistic that we'll get out of here today.
Okay. What remains? I know you've been working on budget appropriations bills, all that money-related stuff here at the end you guys got to take care of. Where do we stand?
Gerard, I wish I could give you an update on that, but it seems like we passed 5 bills and then we recommit 3 bills and we kind of jump it all over the calendar. It's kind of hard to keep up with.
Yeah. You know, something I talked about earlier on the show, Representative Busby, is this ballot initiative bill. It's a resolution, actually, that it doesn't feel like we're going to get anything. I know there was some procedural move last week to, I don't exactly remember the terminology, but could keep it alive. But once we sine die, I mean, that's it, right?
Yeah, that'll be it, unless the governor sees fit to call a special session for that. And my opinion is that he won't do that, but
yeah,
he may surprise me. But it is something that needs to be addressed. And you and I have talked about it before, how I would like to see the initiative process be a little different than what we had previously. And I think the product that comes out, and I guess it'll be next year now, will be different, where we can change general law as opposed to constitutional amendments.
Yeah, exactly. But it seems like the matter where there is some degree of contention between the House and the Senate is the House wanted to stay, as I recall, with the present requirement for the number of signatures calculated as 12% of the total ballots cast in the last gubernatorial election. I think the Senate's version would have had the signature requirements elevated to 12% of the voting population, which is more than 2x what the House's signature requirements would be. So the bar is higher, and that anybody interested in getting a measure on the ballot, it costs money, as you know, for such efforts to put those together and then, of course, collect the signatures. It doesn't seem like, and I know this isn't your area, but I'm talking about this one because it seems like kind of one of the things that didn't get done, of all the major issues. And I think the citizens of Mississippi were looking forward to something being on the ballot this coming fall for them to approve and fix this problem we have.
Well, now it looks like it'll be on the ballot the following fall. So
yeah, I think that's where we are.
As you say, it's not my area. I wasn't in on those negotiations, so I can't speak much to that other than we obviously need a mechanism for doing it, and I hope we can improve on the one we used to have.
Yeah. I totally agree. All right, so tell us about funding for roads and bridges, something that's smack dab in the middle of your sweet spot there as chair of the Transportation Committee. How are we looking?
Yeah, thank you. I think it's been a pretty good year for MDOT. I'm not going to say that we've got all the problems solved, but we've moved in that direction. Going back 7 years ago when I first became chairman of the Transportation Committee, we went and toured the state, and we looked at road and bridge conditions across the state, and I reported back that we had major issues on the state system. However, they kind of paled in comparison to the issues that we had on the local systems, the county systems. So we had the 2018 special session, and since that time, I don't know that your listeners would be aware of this, but now we're looking at about $300 million a year of recurring money that's going into the local systems. About 126 million or so from the use tax going to cities, and 126 million going to counties. They each get 15% of the use tax that comes in, and that I'm giving numbers of how it will be by extrapolating the numbers that we've used. How it will be when it's fully implemented come July of this year. And then another $40 million going to the LSBP program, which used to get $20 million, and it was kind of iffy. It seemed as a bond bill. That was the very first thing to get cut out of the bond bill back in those days. But this is going to be a consistent source of income. And then we get along to where we are on the state system. The only thing that we've really done for the state system up until this point is the $80 million in lottery money and the sports betting, which has brought in about 5 million, and then the fees on hybrid and electric vehicles, which is a little over $1 million, is where we stand right now. Uh, and that's not solving that problem. We have about $65 billion in assets at DOT, roadways and bridges, $65 billion. And,
Wow.
to maintain that asset, if you were just looking at 10% of the asset value, you'd be talking about $6.5 billion a year. And we've been doing it on about $1.3 billion. This year, we're going to be closer to about 1.5, 1.6. We have put another $35 million into there from the general fund for capacity projects. However, we have about $5 billion in capacity project needs across the state. So we really hadn't closed that gap very much. And then we've got 45 million that we're putting into maintenance projects, which is really the mills and overlay, the asphalt, which is what the 80 million from the lottery goes to. And therein, we have about a $400 million per year gap in what it takes to maintain that asset. So again, we've put a little money into it, but we're still a long ways from solving those problems. We haven't addressed. There are 56 bridges that are impacted by the harvest permit change from last year at a cost of about $235 million. This is pretty much an unfunded mandate that we didn't provide any money for that on our state systems either. So we've got a long ways to go. I hope we'll keep chipping away at it.
Yeah. What about the ARPA money, Representative Busby? Are you pleased with that? And what can we expect with respect to infrastructure improvements from those funds?
Well, most of the ARPA money is going to the agencies for programs that the cities and counties will have to apply for. We haven't had a lot of ARPA money that's gone to infrastructure, other than we have the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, which is providing an additional $179 million in federal spending authority for MDOT.
Mm-hmm.
Over the next year, and it's going to be nearly $1 billion over the next 5 years. And we did provide another $40 million to MDOT for matching funds for that. So that was one I failed to mention a moment ago. So
Okay.
that's going to be very beneficial in helping reduce the gap that we have on our capacity projects across the state. All those places where we need passing lanes and turning lanes, and we may have needed an additional lane here and there. All these bottlenecks that we have across the state. Hopefully, we can begin to address those.
Yeah. What about Executive Director Brad White, good friend? You been pleased with his performance? It seems like a perfect fit for him.
Gerard, I can't say enough. I can't say enough about Brad or Harry Lee James at State Aid, for that matter.
Yeah.
Having the confidence that those folks bring, they are doing what is necessary to cultivate a relationship with the legislature and to instill a confidence from the legislature that they are being good stewards of the money that is being made available by the legislature. And that means everything. That makes my job and Senator Branning's job so much easier over here when we're able to show that the monies that we have provided over to DOT and the state aid are being well used and being looked after.
Yeah, I've seen Executive Director White make presentations to some civic club events and so forth in the Madison County Economic Development Authority, where I serve, and he does an excellent job of really laying all that out. And it just seems like he's got a good handle on all the issues and more importantly, all the money. And to your point, what it takes to run that whole deal and the plans of how they go about allocating that money. It's a fairly complex undertaking.
It is, and it's very, very impressive what Director White has done and to gain an understanding of the federal programs. I mean, essentially,
Complex.
they're not a state agency. You know, they're like a
Right.
subsidiary of the
That's
federal
right.
government.
Yep.
And being able to understand the requirements of the feds and spending these dollars is very, very important, a very, very important part of his job. And he seems to have gotten a pretty good grasp of it, and we appreciate his input on that. You know, we threw $35 million at capacity projects plus
Yeah.
the $40 million for the match, and we need to give him the flexibility.
We got to go.
Spend that money appropriately.
Appreciate it, Representative Busby. Thank you, sir.